Welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and today we are reviewing, I know I'm a little bit late, but it's the Going Coconuts 9-pan palette from ColourPop. Now they released this, what, like a month or two ago? I'm not really sure, but I was planning on waiting for it because pretty much right after they released this they came out with the huge neutral palette called the Bare Necessities palette. And I really liked it and I'm sure I would use it, but something about this palette still was calling my name. And during their 25% off sale, it came to like $9. So I was like, I guess, you know, now is the time. I love the packaging. It is called Going Coconuts and obviously it is coconut themed. On the back you do have all the names of the palette and it is a neutral palette. The thing I love about the 9 pans is they always have a mirror. But here it is. For the most part, I would say that this is a cool toned neutral palette. There are some pops of warm, but you really do see a lot of those kind of beigey type of nude colors that you don't get a lot in palettes these days. What also drew me in was when I saw some swatches of the metallics. They seemed super duper intense, which is right up my alley. I will say that everything swatched amazingly. The mattes were very pigmented. I didn't have any patchiness whatsoever, and the only shade I was kind of like about is the shade right here. It is one of the shimmers and it's not very metallic. It's called De Coco. It is pretty, but I just wish it still had that oomph of shimmer like these two do. But other than that, everything was very beautiful. I'm going to show you this look that I did today just so you can see how the shadows performed. This is using more of the warm tone neutrals and it's still not super duper warm looking in my opinion. So if you want to see how these shades performed on my eyes, then just keep watching. Daddy's home and that means a lot of yelling and screaming upstairs. I apologize. It sounds like the roof is going to break down on me. We're gonna start off this look by going into the shade Shredded, which is just basically a natural, it's basically a brow bone type of shade if you are my skin tone. Now we are actually going into Lovely Bunch of Coconuts, lady. This is just what looks like a great transition shade. Okay, actually I'm wrong. This is, and I figured this out yesterday too and I already forgot, but it actually, on my skin tone, it's not a transition color really for me. It's almost more of a crease shade, but it would be a great everyday crease shade, I think. I'm also having some troubles blending it currently, so let's just keep blending. It's not patchy, just kind of getting a little bit stuck. Like I probably should have maybe primed my whole lid with that first shade instead of just putting it on the brow bone, but this is a really pretty shade. I feel like this would be a great transition shade for deeper skin tones, but it's actually a very pretty shade. And again, like this would be beautiful for everyday, like just having that, just that very natural kind of plain crease look going on. It always reminds me of very reminiscent of like Audrey Hepburn, because every time you see like a tutorial for Audrey Hepburn, there's always kind of like that natural crease and then that really thick winged liner. Actually gonna go into, that's Declan and his train, it's very noisy, into Shell Yeah, and this one I'm really excited because it's kind of this red brown color and it just looks gorgeous. I'm sorry about the noise, but this is even less than yesterday. Yesterday was like horrible. I thought it'd be a good idea to try continuing filming with Declan down here with me. He woke up from his nap in the middle of me filming. I was like, I want to get this done, and I was like, maybe he'll be fine down there with me. And you know, it was interesting, and I was very, very distracted the whole time, you know, chasing after an almost 2-year-old. Which Declan turns 2 soon, by the way. His birthday is this coming weekend, so that's super exciting. So this is a very pretty this is probably the most warm toned brown shade in the bunch. We are going to go into Nutty, which is the deepest, darkest brown shade in the palette. It is more cool toned. I feel like a lot of these mostly are more cool toned, except you do have the Shelia, which I just put on, which is kind of more red toned. And then you have kind of a rose gold type of shade, which we'll probably use. So you can do kind of warm or cool tone, but it definitely has way more cool tone shades in this palette. I feel like this is a palette that I would reach for every day, because these are kind of the types of looks that I do every single day. As long as I basically have my transition color and a color to deepen up, then I'm pretty much, and a very, very shimmery lid color, then I am good. I did swatch these yesterday, and I did try the shadows on yesterday, and the metallics are very intense with the exception of one. Go into the Cocoa first. This is the one that's way less, it's not very metallic at all. And this shade's just kind of, I don't know. It's a pretty color, like it's this like, I don't even know how to describe this color. It's a very grungy type color, but it's just not metallic at all in comparison to the other ones. It's just kind of like a shimmer that doesn't pop too well. And then we're gonna go into this one right here, which is called Cocoa Crush, and this one is a super intense rose gold metallic, and it needs like no help, like, but I would wet it just to kind of make it stick more, but in terms of it being very blinding and metallic-y, she don't need no help. So there we go. I'm gonna put some underneath the eye there. It is kind of like flecking up, like I see little flecks flying everywhere of shimmer, and it does have quite a bit of fallout, but that's alright. I'm going to go into Shelia and put it under the lower lash line. So the first shade we have is called Shredded, and that is that neutral cream shade. Declan's singing upstairs. This one's Palm Reader. It's a metallic. I don't know what they're singing up there. This one is called Culotta. This one kind of sounds familiar to me, but I don't know. This one is the matte kind of grayish beige color to me. And now we're on the second row. This one's called Lovely Bunch. And this one's the more warm tone. Like, they're kind of similar in depth, but this one to me is more like cooler, and this one is warmer. Next we have that beautiful rose gold. You barely need to tap them. They're the very fragile soft shadows, and that one is called Cocoa Crush. Super intense. I will say with the shimmers, the metallics, you might want to use like a glitter base or use them wet, because they are so fragile that sometimes they'll flake off your eye a little bit, so using it wet will kind of adhere it more to stick to your eye when you put it on. Shelia is that very kind of red toned color. Then we have the third row. This is Get Cracked. This one is, I don't know, it reminds me just like of the shell of a coconut. Like, it looks just like that color. This one is a matte but has flecks of almost purple in it, I think. Then we have Da Coco. This one is the one that I wish was more metallic. It's kind of very lackluster. I feel like it's showing up even shinier on here than it does in real life. But it's not that super intense shimmery, which some people might not care. And the last one is that dark brown called Nutty. Surprisingly, I feel like this one would have been, well, it did like go a little bit streaky, but I thought it'd be like gritty and patchy, because sometimes with ColourPop darker shadows, they tend to do that. So I feel like the deeper shades in here are also better quality than we have seen in the past. As you can see, a lot of them didn't really need building up. I did kind of build up this last shade a little bit. But for the most part, they're pretty darn pigmented. Again, with the metallics, I would recommend using like a glitter primer or a better, stickier base, just because, again, they're so fragile and intense that they kind of like flake and fly off. So use it wet or with something sticky. Do you need this palette? Obviously we have lots of neutrals. I think if you bought the Bare Necessities palette, you don't need this palette. Like, you just don't. That one has so many to choose from. You can almost see this palette within it. So if you have that palette, no, I do not think. Compared to like my other ColourPop palettes, I don't see too many similarities. I do think these are all new shadows that were made just for this palette, so that is super exciting. There might be a couple of repeats, but none that are popping out at me right away. If you are someone who's looking for a little bit something different, you want to try some more cooler tones, then this is really great. If you want a travel kind of nude palette, this is great as well because it's super easy, super compact, very affordable, so if it does like break when you're traveling, you don't have to cry about it, and it's good quality. I think this is a great palette to have. It might be my new favorite neutral palette from ColourPop concerning their 9-pan. I used to think it was brown sugar, which is beautiful. It definitely gives you more of that chocolatey brown eye look, but this one gives you kind of just something a little bit different. So I do like it and I can't wait to use it more. I could see myself reaching for this on a daily basis, and again taking it with me whenever I go out of town because it's just so simple, and you can kind of create many day looks that are wearable for work if you work in an office or at a school, or you know, that doesn't want very loud makeup, but also you can create something a little bit smokier by using this as well. So I feel like it's a good daytime nighttime palette as well, so definitely worth the $12. I would recommend this to my own friends and family, so I really do think this is a good ColourPop staple. Let me know what your favorite 9-pan palette is down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you found this video helpful, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!